Chrissy Teigen just handed the world a masterclass in how not to defend your famous friend. The model and television personality recently sat down for an interview where she gushed about Meghan Markle, calling her incredibly strong, kind, and good. She painted this picture of a woman who's undeserving of all the hate she gets, a misunderstood soul who just wants the best for everyone around her. Sounds lovely, right? Except Chrissy's own words completely unraveled the entire narrative she was trying to spin, and the internet wasted no time tearing it apart piece by piece. The 39-year-old former lip-sync battle host launched into this passionate defense, insisting that Meghan is polarizing for absolutely no reason. According to Chrissy, the Duchess of Sussex is simply a kind person who wants the best for her friends, her relationships, and her children. She doesn't do anything for show, Chrissy claimed. She just lives simply and wants those basic things that everyone wants. The problem? Nobody's buying it anymore, and Chrissy's attempt to rehabilitate Meghan's image backfired spectacularly. Here's where things get interesting. While Chrissy was busy telling the world how close she and Meghan are, how much she adores her, and how incredibly strong the former actress is, she let slip a detail that completely contradicted everything she'd just said. When asked about playdates between their children, Chrissy admitted with a laugh that their kids have never actually met. Not once. Despite sharing 4 children with husband John Legend and Meghan having 2 young kids of her own, there's been zero interaction between the families, no playdates planned, no casual hangouts, nothing. Let that sink in for a moment. Chrissy wants everyone to believe she's genuinely close friends with Meghan, that she adores this woman and thinks she's amazing, but their children have never been in the same room together. For most people, when you're truly close with someone and you both have kids around similar ages, playdates happen naturally. It's part of the friendship. But apparently, in Meghan's world, that's not how things work. Chrissy tried to justify it by saying she doesn't leave her house, that she does everything at home including photo shoots. But that excuse only made things worse because it raised an obvious question. If you're such good friends, wouldn't you invite Meghan and her kids over to your house? The backlash was immediate and brutal. Social media exploded with people pointing out the obvious contradictions. Royal commentators had a field day dissecting every word of the interview. Critics noted that this isn't the first time someone claiming to be Meghan's close friend has revealed details that suggest the relationship is anything but genuine. The pattern is becoming impossible to ignore, and Chrissy's defense only added more fuel to the fire burning around Meghan's already damaged reputation. The admission about the children never meeting isn't just a minor detail that slipped through the cracks. It's a massive red flag that exposes the truth about Meghan's so-called friendships in Hollywood. Think about it logically. When you're genuinely close with someone, especially another parent, your kids naturally become part of that friendship. You organize playdates, you meet up at parks, you have casual family gatherings. It's what real friends do. But according to Chrissy's own words, none of that has ever happened between her family and Meghan's. Insiders are whispering that this revelation proves what many have suspected all along. These aren't real friendships built on genuine connection and shared experiences. They're strategic alliances designed for mutual benefit and public relations purposes. Chrissy gets to align herself with someone who has royal connections, and Meghan gets a celebrity friend willing to publicly defend her when the criticism gets too intense. It's transactional, calculated, and completely lacking in authenticity. Royal watchers were quick to point out how bizarre this whole situation is. One commentator noted that Meghan loves calling people like Marcus Anderson and her makeup artist uncles to her children. But when it comes to these A-list celebrities she claims as close friends, there's zero evidence of actual family bonding. Nobody ever comes forward saying they've spent quality time with Meghan and her kids. Nobody mentions casual weekends together or spontaneous hangouts. It's always these carefully staged public appearances or promotional interviews where someone praises Meghan in exchange for something else. The contrast becomes even more stark when you look at how normal celebrity friendships operate. Take any other Hollywood parents who are genuinely close, and you'll find photos of their kids playing together, stories about family vacations, mentions of birthday parties and school events. With Meghan, there's nothing, just these occasional public statements from people claiming they're friends, followed by awkward admissions that reveal they barely know her at all. What makes Chrissy's comments even more damaging is the way she tried to frame it. She laughed about not leaving her house, as if that somehow explained why her children and Meghan's have never met. But that excuse falls apart under the slightest scrutiny. If you're truly friends with someone, especially someone who lives relatively nearby in California, you find ways to connect. You make time. You prioritize the relationship. The fact that hasn't happened in all these years speaks volumes about what this friendship really is. People are starting to wonder if Meghan actually has any genuine friendships left in Hollywood. Every time someone comes forward to defend her, they inadvertently reveal details that suggest the relationship is surface level at best. It's becoming a pattern that's impossible to ignore. The more these celebrities talk about how close they are to Meghan, the more obvious it becomes that they're reading from a script rather than speaking from actual experience. And Chrissy Teigen just provided the most glaring example yet of how hollow these so-called friendships truly are. But wait, because it gets even better. This isn't the first time Chrissy Teigen has accidentally exposed the fake nature of her friendship with Meghan Markle. Cast your mind back to last year when Meghan was desperately trying to launch her lifestyle brand, American Riviera Orchard. Remember that whole debacle? The brand that couldn't even secure a trademark, the jam that supposedly sold out but was really just sent to 50 carefully selected influencers and celebrities for promotion? Well, Chrissy and John Legend were walking a red carpet somewhere, doing interviews, when a reporter asked them about the American Riviera Orchard products Meghan had sent them. Chrissy's reaction was absolutely priceless. She looked genuinely confused, her face blank, and she said something like, "Jam? What jam?" She had no idea what the reporter was talking about. It was John Legend who had to jump in and remind his own wife about the jam they were supposed to be promoting. "You know the jam," he said, clearly trying to save the situation. Think about that for a second. Your supposedly close friend sends you products from her new business venture, something she's poured her heart and soul into according to all the press releases, and you completely forget about it. That's not what happens when you genuinely care about someone. When a real friend launches a business, you remember, you talk about it. You support them without needing your husband to remind you that you received free products you're contractually obligated to mention. The incident was so awkward that it made headlines at the time, but people quickly moved on to the next Meghan controversy. Now, with Chrissy's latest interview creating waves, royal watchers are connecting the dots and seeing a clear pattern emerge. This relationship isn't built on genuine affection or shared experiences. It's a business arrangement, pure and simple. Meghan sends products, Chrissy is expected to promote them, and in return, Chrissy gets to maintain her connection to someone with royal ties. Sources close to the situation suggest that Meghan and Chrissy likely share the same management team or public relations people who coordinate these mutual promotion opportunities. That would explain why Chrissy suddenly appears to defend Meghan whenever the criticism reaches a fever pitch, and why Meghan had Chrissy on her Netflix show despite them apparently never spending real time together. It's all choreographed, all strategic, and completely devoid of authenticity. What's truly fascinating is how transparent it's all becoming. These celebrities aren't even good at hiding the transactional nature of their relationships anymore. Chrissy couldn't remember the jam. She's now admitting the kids have never met. Every single statement she makes in defense of Meghan accidentally includes details that prove they're not actually close. It's like watching someone dig themselves deeper into a hole while insisting they're climbing out. The American Riviera Orchard disaster itself was revealing enough. The brand launch was a complete mess. The trademark issues were embarrassing, and the fact that Meghan had to rebrand and change the name showed just how unprepared she was. But having your celebrity friends forget you even sent them products? That's a whole new level of humiliation that money can't fix. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. Chrissy Teigen, of all people, defending someone's character is absolutely rich. This is the same woman who became infamous across the internet for her relentless cyberbullying and trolling behavior. We're talking about someone who sent vicious messages to people online, someone who targeted individuals with cruel comments, someone whose past behavior was so toxic that she had to issue multiple apologies and step away from social media for a while. So when Chrissy stands up and tells the world that Meghan Markle is a kind, good person who's undeserving of criticism, it's hard not to laugh at the irony. Many critics are pointing out that having Hollywood's most notorious bully vouching for your character isn't exactly the endorsement Meghan probably hoped for. In fact, it might be doing more harm than good. When someone with Chrissy's track record says you're a nice person, people start wondering if that's actually a warning sign rather than a compliment. The parallels between Chrissy and Meghan are becoming harder to ignore. Both have faced serious allegations about how they treat people. Both have been accused of bullying behavior. Both seem to have a pattern of burning bridges with former friends and colleagues. They're essentially two peas in a pod, which explains why they might gravitate toward each other. Birds of a feather flock together, as the saying goes, and in this case it appears two controversial figures have found common ground in their shared experience of public backlash. Royal commentators wasted no time pointing out that Chrissy Teigen is probably the worst possible character witness Meghan could have. One analyst noted that when someone with such a well-documented history of online cruelty comes to your defense, it raises questions about the company you keep and the values you actually hold. If Meghan truly was this beacon of kindness and positivity that Chrissy describes, wouldn't she be surrounded by people who embody those same qualities? Instead, she's being defended by someone who had to publicly apologize for telling people to harm themselves. The timing of Chrissy's defense also feels incredibly calculated. It came right as Meghan was facing renewed criticism from mainstream American voices, people who previously stayed silent but are now openly mocking her business failures and questioning her credentials. It's almost as if someone made a phone call requesting that friendly celebrities step up and push back against the negative narrative. But instead of helping, Chrissy's interview only made things worse by highlighting all the contradictions and exposing the superficial nature of their connection. What particularly telling is that Chrissy felt the need to specifically mention that Meghan doesn't do anything for show and just lives simply. That statement alone suggests she's trying to counter the widespread perception that everything Meghan does is performative and staged. But when you have to explicitly tell people that your friend is genuine, it usually means they're not. Authenticity doesn't require a press tour. Real kindness doesn't need a public relations campaign. And true friendship certainly doesn't involve one person forgetting the other, sent them jam while their children have never even met. While Chrissy Teigen was busy accidentally exposing her fake friendship with Meghan, something even more explosive was happening across American media. Dana Loesch, the outspoken conservative commentator, delivered a takedown so brutal and so honest that it instantly went viral and sparked a nationwide conversation about Meghan's actual accomplishments. And the most devastating line? Everywhere she's got, it's everywhere she's ever gone. It's because a man put her there. Dana didn't hold back for a single second. She questioned why Meghan was even invited to speak at an event about female executives and business founders when, according to Dana, Meghan has never actually built anything herself. The commentary was savage but backed up with facts that are impossible to dispute. Her dad helped launch her early career. Boyfriends opened doors in the entertainment industry, and then she married Prince Harry, which catapulted her into global fame and gave her access to wealth and prestige she never could have achieved on her own merits. Dana continued by pointing out the glaring hypocrisy of Meghan presenting herself as some kind of feminist icon and self-made businesswoman. She only got where she was because she slept with the spare and got knocked up. Dana said bluntly, "Let's be honest about it. You didn't build anything for yourself. You committed the greatest sin in your Gloria Steinem feminism rulebook. You didn't make it yourself. You married it." The words were harsh, but they resonated with millions of people who are tired of watching Meghan collect awards and accolades for accomplishments that don't actually exist. The really significant part of Dana's commentary wasn't just what she said, but who was saying it and where. This wasn't some fringe internet personality or anonymous social media account. This was a mainstream voice with a massive platform, speaking openly about something that used to be considered off-limits in polite conversation. The fact that Dana felt comfortable saying these things out loud, and that her audience enthusiastically agreed, signals a major cultural shift happening in America right now. Dana also called out the pattern of Meghan's entire life. Her father put her in positions early on, then various boyfriends helped advance her career in Hollywood, then she landed a role on Suits, a Canadian television show that nobody really watched until she married into royalty, and suddenly everyone pretended it was some massive hit. And now she's riding entirely on her husband's family name, his inheritance, and the titles that came with their marriage. At no point in this journey did Meghan actually build something from the ground up through her own talent, hard work, or business acumen. The response to Dana's commentary was overwhelming. Thousands of people shared the clips, agreeing that someone finally had the courage to say what everyone was thinking. Meghan isn't a founder. She isn't a successful businesswoman. She's someone who married money and prestige, then tried to rebrand herself as a self-made entrepreneur. And the American public is finally calling out that fiction for exactly what it is. A complete and utter snow job designed to fool people into believing something that simply isn't true. But Dana Loesch wasn't the only mainstream American voice finally saying the quiet part out loud. Billy Bush, a household name from shows like Today and Access Hollywood, joined the chorus of criticism in a way that shocked royal watchers everywhere. This is a guy who built his career on being friendly, diplomatic, and staying in everyone's good graces. He's not known for controversial takes or burning bridges. So when Billy started mocking Meghan Markle on his new independent show Hot Mics, people paid attention. Billy zeroed in on one of Meghan's most absurd contradictions. She constantly claims she wants privacy, that she's desperate to escape the spotlight, that the media attention is unbearable and invasive. Yet there she was, showing up to Kevin Costner's charity event in Santa Barbara, dripping in $300,000 worth of jewelry. Billy didn't mince words about the hypocrisy. "If you don't want to be seen, it's pretty easy not to be seen," he said, especially in Montecito. "Do your thing. It's fine. You don't have to call the paparazzi." That last line hit like a bomb because everyone knows exactly what he was implying. Meghan and Harry aren't being hounded by photographers who magically know where they'll be at every moment. They're calling the paparazzi themselves, orchestrating these supposedly candid shots, staging the entire production while pretending to be victims of media harassment. It's so transparent that even mainstream personalities like Billy Bush are openly laughing about it now. Billy also brought up Meghan's ridiculous high-low fashion claims from her Netflix show. He referenced the scene where Mindy Kaling visited, and Meghan tried to present herself as relatable by saying her pants were from Zara, a normal affordable store, while casually mentioning her top was Loro Piana, which costs at least $2,500. Billy's response was perfect. No, you're not high-low, you're just out of touch. This is an offensive comment to make to regular people who actually shop at Zara because they have to budget. The significance of Billy Bush piling on cannot be overstated. This represents a complete tipping point in American pop culture. We're not talking about conservative commentators or royal critics anymore. We're talking about mainstream entertainment personalities who have nothing to gain and everything to lose by criticizing someone with Meghan's connections. Yet they're doing it anyway because the absurdity has become impossible to ignore. Billy summed up what so many Americans are thinking. If she was just doing charity work quietly without all the performative nonsense, Nobody would have a problem with her. But why does she need to be the keynote speaker at every event? Why is she positioning herself as some kind of thought leader when her only real credential is marrying Prince Harry? She's not Princess Diana. She's not on the front lines volunteering in conflict zones. She's an actress who was fifth on the call sheet for a cable television show that nobody watched. The fact that this criticism is now coming from all corners of American media, from left and right, from entertainment and political commentators alike, shows that Meghan's brand has reached a point of no return. The pattern emerging from Chrissy Teigen's interview isn't an isolated incident. It's part of a much larger and more damning picture that reveals the truth about Meghan's Hollywood connections. Every single celebrity who claims to be close friends with Meghan eventually lets slip details that prove the relationship is anything but genuine. They gush about how wonderful she is, how misunderstood, how kind and amazing. Then in the very next breath, they admit they never actually spend time together, their families don't interact, and they can barely remember the last time they had a real conversation. Look at the evidence piling up. Meghan calls Marcus Anderson and her makeup artist uncles to her children. These are people on her payroll, people who work for her or have business relationships with her. But when it comes to the A-list celebrities she parades around as close friends, there's zero evidence of genuine family bonding. No playdates, no casual weekend hangouts, no spontaneous visits or holiday gatherings. Nothing that would indicate these are real friendships, rather than carefully orchestrated public relations arrangements. Royal commentators have been tracking this pattern for years now. Every time Meghan claims someone as a dear friend, that person eventually reveals something that completely contradicts the narrative. They forget about products she sent them. They admit their children have never met. They can't recall specific memories or shared experiences when pressed for details. It's always vague platitudes about how strong and kind Meghan is, never concrete examples of actual friendship. The contrast with how normal celebrity friendships operate couldn't be more stark. When you look at genuine Hollywood friendships, you see consistent evidence of real connection. There are photos of families spending time together, stories about vacations and birthday parties, social media posts showing authentic moments rather than staged promotional content. With Meghan, everything feels manufactured and artificial because it absolutely is. Insiders are whispering that most of these so-called friendships exist purely for mutual benefit. Meghan gets to name-drop celebrities and maintain the illusion of being accepted in Hollywood circles. The celebrities get access to someone with royal connections and the publicity that comes with defending or supporting her. It's transactional from start to finish, which explains why these relationships never deepen beyond surface-level public statements. What particularly telling is how many of Meghan's former friends have gone completely silent. People she was photographed with constantly during her Suits days, people she claimed as her closest confidants, people who attended her wedding. Where are they now? Nowhere to be found. They've quietly distanced themselves without making a big public statement, which is often more damaging than outright criticism because it suggests they know something the rest of us are only beginning to figure out. The few celebrities who do still publicly support Meghan, like Chrissy Teigen, can't help but expose the truth even when they're trying to help. They reveal the shallow nature of these connections through their own words and admissions. They prove that Meghan doesn't actually have a strong network of genuine friends who know her well and care about her deeply. What she has instead is a roster of people willing to make occasional public statements in exchange for whatever benefit that arrangement provides them. Speaking of telling absences, let's talk about what happened when Serena Williams and her sister Venus launched their brand new podcast called Stockton Street. The tennis legends decided to travel all the way to the United Kingdom to interview someone about the experience of being a black woman navigating British aristocracy and high society. Now, who do you think would be the obvious choice for that conversation? Who literally married into the British royal family and has spent years talking about her experiences as a biracial woman in that world. But Serena and Venus didn't call Meghan. They completely bypassed her and instead sat down with Emma Thynne, also known as the Marchioness of Bath, who holds the distinction of being the first black Marchioness in British history. The snub was so obvious, so deliberate, and so public that royal watchers couldn't stop talking about it. Here was the perfect opportunity for Serena, who has been photographed with Meghan and attended her baby shower, to feature her supposed friend on this groundbreaking podcast, and she chose literally anyone else. Emma Thynne represents everything Meghan pretends to be but isn't. She's half Nigerian, her father was a chief, and she married into one of Britain's most prestigious aristocratic families. Unlike Meghan, Emma has handled her role with grace, dignity, and class. She's modernized the position of Marchioness without disrespecting centuries of tradition. She's raised her children within the structure of British high society while maintaining her own identity and heritage. She's never once cried victimhood or claimed the system was designed to destroy her. During the interview, Serena and Venus praised Emma for doing everything with so much class and aplomb. The word choice felt intentional, almost like a pointed contrast to how Meghan handled being a mixed-race princess. Emma talked about her experiences without bitterness, without accusations, and without turning herself into a perpetual victim. She discussed the challenges while also expressing genuine happiness with her husband and her life. She's put the role of Marquess on a world stage while still honoring the time-honored traditions of her husband's family. What particularly interesting is that reports surfaced of Meghan meeting up with Serena at Soho House in New York around the same time this podcast was being planned. So it's not like they've completely cut ties or that Serena doesn't know how to reach Meghan. The choice to feature Emma instead of Meghan was deliberate and speaks volumes about how even Meghan's closest celebrity connections are quietly distancing themselves from her toxic brand. Royal analysts noted that Emma Thin probably requested that Meghan not be mentioned during the interview. She's been constantly compared to Meghan by people trying to contrast their vastly different approaches to similar situations. Emma has built a reputation on her own merits, on her genuine contributions to British society, and on her classy handling of a prominent role. The last thing she needs is to be dragged into Meghan's endless drama and controversy. The fact that Meghan wasn't even mentioned once during the entire podcast interview is perhaps the most damning detail of all. Her name didn't come up naturally in conversation. Nobody referenced her as an example or a comparison. It's as if she doesn't exist in the conversation about black women in British aristocracy, despite her constant attempts to position herself as the face of that exact experience. Just when you think things couldn't possibly get worse for Meghan's already demolished reputation, another scandal emerges involving one of her former charitable associations. World Vision, the organization that Meghan served as a global ambassador for back in 2016 and 2017, is now facing serious allegations of racism and sexism within its British branch. And even though Meghan hasn't been connected to the charity in 8 years, her name is still being dragged through the mud because that's what happens when your brand becomes synonymous with toxicity. The Charity Commission launched an assessment after receiving complaints that World Vision UK operates as a toxic and hostile workplace. The allegations include claims of discriminatory behavior and a culture that makes employees feel unsafe and unsupported. The charity disputes these accusations, of course, releasing statements about their dedicated staff and robust policies for handling complaints. But the damage to their reputation is already done, and Meghan's association with the organization, however distant, is making headlines all over again. Royal News Network perfectly captured why this keeps happening. They pointed out that the correlation between Harry and Meghan and any organization has become so insanely toxic that their names come up even years after their involvement has ended. When you have the kind of track record Meghan does, everything you've ever been connected to gets tainted by association. Past, present, and future. It all gets tied up in the negativity no matter how tenuous the actual connection might be. The irony is particularly thick with World Vision because Meghan's time with that organization was widely criticized even when it was happening. According to reports that emerged later, including details from Tom Bauer's book Revenge, Meghan treated the charity terribly during her trip to Rwanda. She reportedly demanded better accommodation than what was provided. She kept disappearing with a fashion photographer she'd brought along, essentially turning a humanitarian mission into her own personal photo shoot. She did the absolute bare minimum required while making sure she got maximum publicity from the experience. Insiders claim that Meghan only pursued the World Vision ambassadorship because she was actively trying to rebrand herself as a humanitarian in preparation for pursuing Prince Harry. She'd previously listed herself as a supermodel on her Wikipedia page, which was laughable given her actual career trajectory. So she hired a new agent, Gina Nelthorpe-Cowan, and explicitly told her she wanted to be positioned as a humanitarian and philanthropist. World Vision was simply a means to that end, a box to check on her way to landing a prince. The fact that complaints about her behavior during that Rwanda trip surfaced years ago makes the current situation even more fitting. Here's an organization now facing allegations of creating a toxic workplace environment, and their most famous former ambassador was accused of behaving toxically during her time with them. The association writes itself. If they had Meghan there, critics argue, then it proves they must have tolerated toxic behavior at the highest levels. This is what's left of Meghan's reputation in the charitable world. Her name has become a liability rather than an asset. Organizations that once proudly featured her as an ambassador now probably wish they could scrub her from their history entirely. When you step back and look at the complete picture painted by Chrissy Teigen's disastrous interview, Dana Loesch's brutal takedown, Billy Bush's public mocking, the Serena Williams snub, and the toxic charity connections, one undeniable truth emerges. Meghan Markle's entire Hollywood network is built on transactions rather than genuine relationships, and that facade is crumbling faster than anyone could have predicted just a few years ago. Every single friendship Meghan claims turns out to be hollow when examined closely. Every celebrity connection reveals itself as a strategic alliance designed for mutual benefit rather than authentic human bonding. Every public defense accidentally includes admissions that expose the superficial nature of these relationships. The pattern is so consistent and so obvious now that even mainstream America is openly laughing about it. What makes this particularly devastating for Meghan is that authenticity was supposed to be her brand. She positioned herself as the real, honest, vulnerable princess who was willing to speak her truth and show her genuine self to the world. But the truth that's actually emerging is that everything about her is calculated, manufactured, and fake. Her friendships are transactional. Her business ventures are white-labeled products from other companies with her name slapped on top. Her humanitarian work was performative photo opportunities designed to boost her image rather than actually help people. The American public has reached a tipping point where they're simply done pretending. They're done acting like Meghan is a successful businesswoman when her only real accomplishment was marrying someone rich and famous. They're done treating her like a feminist icon when she literally achieved everything through her association with men. They're done respecting her claims of wanting privacy when she shows up to charity events wearing hundreds of thousands of dollars in jewelry with paparazzi mysteriously waiting outside. Sources close to the situation suggest that Meghan is absolutely panicking. As this narrative shift takes hold, she's watching her carefully constructed image collapse in real time, and there's nothing she can do to stop it. Every attempt to rehabilitate her reputation through friendly celebrity interviews backfires spectacularly. Every award she wins or buys feels more hollow and desperate than the last one. Every public appearance generates more mockery than admiration. The most damning aspect of this entire situation is that Meghan has nobody to blame but herself. She's the one who burned bridges with genuine friends and family members. She's the one who treated people terribly while expecting them to stay silent. She's the one who built a brand on lies and exaggerations that were always going to be exposed eventually. And she's the one who surrounded herself with transactional relationships that were never going to stand up under scrutiny. As more celebrities accidentally expose the truth about their fake friendships with Meghan, as more mainstream voices feel emboldened to criticize her openly, and as more of her past associations come back to haunt her present reputation, one thing becomes crystal clear. The Sussex brand isn't just damaged, it's completely toxic and beyond repair. And all the paid-for awards, all the staged paparazzi shots, and all the desperate celebrity endorsements in the world can't change that fundamental reality anymore. So what comes next for Meghan? Drop your thoughts below, like, subscribe, and stay tuned because the next video is waiting and you won't believe what's coming next.